Indiana baseball was down 4 runs before putting on a batting helmet Friday. Jake Hanley led the charge in the comeback, hitting 4 for 4 with a game-tying home run. Cooper Malamazian added 3 hits, including the team's only triple this season. Once IU had the lead in the 6th, Gavin Seebold dominated with 6 strikeouts and a 12-out save. The media met with head coach Jeff Mercer, Hanley, and Malamazian after the contest.
Coach, there's a lot of things you've been talking about this season, and really even going back to last season, and it just seems that everything you've been talking about kind of came together in a comeback win today. So can you just talk about what that meant to this team?
Yeah, I told the guys after the game, only a team that's kind of been to the deep end of the pool and had a really tough time has the guts and the toughness to overcome that. And that's what we've been trying to accomplish here, is to get tougher, to be more resilient, to handle some adversity, to have things not go your way, and to just respond from it. And we went through the gauntlet early, and that was the whole point, was to create a culture that was tougher. We had to be. We've been talented, had a bunch of draft picks, All-Americans, but we have to have a tougher team. We can't just rely on talent all the time. And that's what we did today. We got a bad start to get things going there with the walks by pitches, and the team didn't flinch, and they just kept responding. The big deal was, Ivan comes in and throws up a 0. I know you get a 2 spot there, but he kind of holds them at bay, doesn't let the game get too big. We start chipping away, but the story of it is, you look up and you say, okay, if you give up 6 runs, you probably have a chance to win the game. Sarhat comes in and gets an inning, throws up a 0. Jacoby throws up a 0. We come back and tie it, and then you can go to Seebold. But, for our guys to not flinch, they've just been in so many environments. They've played so many tough games and competitive games. You could just see a difference in the team. There was a calmness and a resiliency. We had more opportunities offensively. The bottom of our lineup has to do more for us. Had opportunities to blow it open earlier than we did, but we still bounced back again. We didn't let that detour us when we left it at 6-5 with the bases loaded and nobody out, and just kept coming and kept coming. And Zach and I have been talking about using some different guys off the bench and just trying to maybe take a shot with some guys. And kudos to Aiden Stewart for coming in and playing great defense. He really took care of the ball, made that one tremendous play up the middle. And then Davian Carrera's been working really hard, and it wasn't pretty. I told him in the clubhouse that it doesn't go down as a hit, but it's the game-winning, it's the game-deciding play. Puts the ball in play, and when you're scoring 2 runs out of his at bat, and it's the difference in the game. So yeah, to your point, we've talked about being resilient and being tough and being able to handle things better when they don't go your way, and that showed up today in a big way.
Yeah, what can you say about your pitching staff just for combining for 7 straight scoreless innings to end the game after allowing 6 in the first 2?
I think a big part of it too is TJ did a great job managing, called a lot of the pitches. He and Matt worked together, but called a lot of the pitches in the game, so that was a big part of it. But I think the guts and the toughness and the composure of it, not to be redundant, but we've just been in so many big games. We've been in so many big environments. We've been in that. We've played every game that we've played has been like that, and so eventually you just have kind of a calm, reserved nature. You just go out and execute pitches and don't look at the scoreboard and keep competing and firing it in there. Yeah, we have good enough stuff. They're good enough. We're good enough on the mound. I've said it from the beginning. And I know we're beat up, Koski and Bergman and those guys, and it's just next man up. We just got to keep going. And today we get a bad start, and it's next man up, and you got to keep competing and fighting. And there's no AAA. No one's coming to save us, and there's no trades. And the reality is, you're just going to have to grow up and be tough enough and get the job done. And so those guys did an awesome job today, and competed great and gave us a chance to come back and win it, and we did.
You made some adjustments to the lineup, got Jake back into where he was last year in the 3-hole, and he had an incredible game. So
incredible.
Kind of talk about both the lineup and Jake's performance.
Yeah, I think Koski's been swinging the bat really well. You want to, Ricketts is going to be a good player. He's going through it right now a little bit, but my fear was with Hogan, the way he's been swinging it, is you got to have somebody behind Hogan that's going to force them to pitch to Hogan. And then Cooper's been a middle of the order guy for us. And Koski's really had good at bat. So slid those guys down. And Koski's been an on-base guy. I like the on-base guy in the 4-hole. And then keeping Cooper in the 5, and then Ricketts behind him. So kind of sliding those guys down, looking at it more of, statistically speaking, who still does the jobs of in those numbers. And trying to keep your right and left balance as well, not opening the lane for a lefty lane. We have 2 lefties that are late, but there's only so much you can really do. And Jake, you could feel Jake coming on here the last week or so. Hogan really come on last week or so. And the truth is, like, sometimes your dudes just got to be dudes. You know, Hogan is our guy, and he carried us on Tuesday, and Jake's our guy, and he carried us tonight. And so we have great players, and sometimes they have to go play like great players, and they're capable, and I believe in them. And they did a great job tonight. Jake was phenomenal to all parts of the field. You know, the homer, you could see it coming from, you know, a couple of bats there, and you knew if he hung another off-speed pitch, splitter, change-up, he had a chance, stayed on it great, and he just was tremendous.
See, both teams used a lot of bullpen arms today.
Yeah.
What are you and Coach Myers thinking about bullpen options for the rest of the weekend?
Let's hope Tony has a good start. I think it will. I think Tony will have a good start. Hopefully, you know, Tony and BT have kind of hit that wall a little bit. You hit there 5 or 6 weeks in. You know, Tony hasn't been a starter in a couple of years with the injuries, and BT's never been a starter. So hopefully their bodies start to recover and respond, and we can get some more length, you know, out of those guys. And then, you know, you have Yarberry and you have Yarberry and Vogel, so you feel good about tomorrow. And then, you know, we kind of cut it up there where you can bring Sarhat and Jacoby back. Probably not Ivan. Ivan threw 2 on Tuesday, but you got, you know, Sarhat and Jacoby for Sunday as well. And then Regan may have to come back and help us out. You know, your job as a starter is to give your team, you know, 3, 4, 5 innings, and he didn't do that tonight. So he may have to get his butt back in there and help us out. So, you know, I expect more from him. He expects more from himself, but he's got to be better for us. And those guys picked him up today, so he may be back in there on Sunday to help us out as well.
Jake moved back into the 3-hole today and went 4 for 4. How are you feeling today? And was there anything different that kind of sparked that today?
No, I didn't see the lineup before the game, so when they announced I was in the 3-hole, I was like, oh, that's cool. And yeah, it's just another game. Nothing else riding on it. You know, we needed this win, and it's been, last week it was tough, obviously, and we had a great game Tuesday, and just keep the momentum going.
Cooper, you know, the team obviously, you went into the dugout before the top of the first, and the team is down 4 runs. What was the discussion and the talk amongst the hitters heading into that bottom of the first inning?
Yeah, something Coach Weatherford always says is, just ignore the scoreboard, don't look at it, just play the game. So we kind of just put our heads down and didn't look at it, and just, you know, played how we normally play. And I love the mindset, because it, you know, kind of takes the whole score factor out of it. You got to just go out there and do what you always do, and that's what I did, and it worked.
Just for either of you, what can you just say about the pitching staff going 7 straight scoreless innings to end the game? How does that allow your offense to have the will to get back into the game, eventually taking the lead, and then you guys hold on at the end?
I think they've been amazing all year, and you know, there have been points where, you know, we didn't back them up enough, and you know, I think just as you work through the season, that improves. And you know, we got team was on the same page today, and you know, Mercer's saying that if you can have 7 guys that are smoking hot, and you know, 2 guys that are being productive, then you're going to be a pretty darn good baseball team. So you know, we were firing on all cylinders today, and look to carry it to tomorrow. But you know, they've done a fantastic job all year.
Cooper, as a team, you guys have had 1 error in the last 5 games. Can you kind of talk about, I mean, obviously you're in kind of the linchpin role defensively, what that means and what you guys are continuing to strive for defensively?
Yeah, I mean, obviously that's a huge point at the start of the year, and that was something we all wanted to work on. Obviously being inside for a while and stuff all affects that stuff, but as a group, we wanted to be more accountable for ourselves, and, you know, honestly just come out here every day and work on it and get better at it, because it's a huge deal. You know, these pitchers have been, like he just said, pitching their butts off all year, and it's an honor to play behind them and play good defense behind them. That's our goal going forward. That's a standard for us, and doing that, coming here every day and just keeping it going. The outfield's been phenomenal. The whole year they've been phenomenal. But yeah, as an infield, we're a tight-knit group, and we trust each other. That's been a huge thing. We never lost out each other, so that's been a huge point. And just going forward, just doing the same thing over and over again, having confidence in all of us and all of our abilities.
Can you talk a little bit about what it's like to see Aiden Stewart back out on the field and the play that he made today?
Yeah, it was special for sure. He's a guy who works his butts off all the time. He's always here getting extra ground balls and doing that stuff. And to see him come out here and make those plays was awesome. And I'm super proud of him for that. And you know, I was telling Austin, I was like, it's an honor to play next to him all the time. He's a vet, and that's all it's done. and to see him make those multiple plays. I mean, no play there is easy, and all those plays he made were huge and big time. So that was awesome to see him do that, and super proud of him.
The Hoosiers and Gophers continue the series today, Saturday at 2 p.m. See you at the BART.